Well, it's a beautiful summer night here in Montana. We're just saying good night to the sun, and I wanted to show you my shop. It's upstairs here. I realize we haven't really done a formal shop tour, so welcome. First thing we've got to do is head up this sketchy flight of stairs. Watch out for the cobwebs and things. I think there's a critter that lives up here. I don't quite know what it is, but somebody's home up here. Well, welcome to my shop. This is it's one room. This is upstairs. It gets pretty hot in the summertime. No air conditioning in the summer, no heat in the winter, but it is what it is. I'm very grateful for this space. So let's check it out. I'll show you some of my favorite tools, some of the upgrades we've made, some of the storage solutions I have. Yeah, we'll look around. This was actually a weaving room. The last person who lived here used all these big drawers in the back to store her yarn, and so it was a really cool place for her to sit. You can look out the windows when it's not nighttime. You can actually see a lake out there. It's kind of pretty, and so she would sit up here and weave. She apparently liked orange shag carpet that was all across here, so we pulled that out, put some flooring down. But it's kind of special to know that an old craftsperson used to live here. Over here I've got my electronic drums. A lot of times to get my creativity going, I'll put some headphones on and play some, usually it's 90s rock. As far as the machinery, I started out just hand stitching and then eventually saw the need for a sewing machine. This was actually my first sewing machine. This is a Cobra Class 4. You probably have seen me sew some bags and things like that. It's a beast of a machine. Eventually I also got this little smaller sewing machine, little needle feed, and it does well too, a lot of fabric and things like that. Eventually I was able to get this skiver. Somebody once told me that they thought that their most valuable machine for bag making was a skiver, a bell skiver, and I thought, really? But after making some bags and using this, I think I definitely agree. Here in the middle I got this island. This is where I store the leather actually. So I've got some leather up here. This week I'm going to do a little workshop with some friends. We're going to make some leather guitar straps. So I've got these leathers out ready to select our leather for that. And underneath here is where I store the leather. So I've got this black canvas hanging over the leather because the sunlight comes in these windows and it can bleach the leather, really lighten it and cause it to fade in funny ways. So I try to avoid that by covering it up. I've got some rotary cutting mats here underneath that I cut on, but these white pieces of plastic here, these are some big pieces of high density polyethylene. I'm going to put these down as my new cutting surface. So I haven't got those installed yet, but that'll be the next thing here. Moving over here, we've got the heat press, a Dream Factory heat press. Really cool little machine for doing embossing of logos using heat. This is the Mighty Wonder 4-ton press, clicker press. I use that for clicking out some parts for wallets and valet trays, small parts. It's not a huge press. This is only about as big as a sheet of paper, so your die should be smaller than that ideally, but it's great for embossing logos and things like that. In here, underneath the big slab of granite, this came out of our countertop in the house. This was where they cut the sink out. I asked if I could keep this chunk of granite, so that worked out pretty good. Just have some cutting tools, you know, all the knives. I wish I could say it was a lot more well organized. Here's my whole punching tools. I just, you know, I keep working down here and nothing's too well organized. So some more cutters and punches and odds and ends. Here's a little magnetic strip. I think this is pretty handy just for keeping track of some of these metallic tools that stick to it, as well as a few more tools in this little rack here. Over here is a bag I just finished. This is the Weekender bag, and this one will be a pattern that you can download really soon if it's not out already. Here's the satchel. This was the prototype. That pattern you can download, and it's a pretty fun little project. Underneath here, this old chest. That's where I keep my belt blanks that I've cut and straps. And I think in here I have some patterns, some big paper patterns. Of course I have some leather scraps that I don't quite know what always to do with, but I do keep quite a few scraps. Back in this drawer. Moving over here, got my computer. I do quite a bit more on the computer than I used to. Do some Adobe Illustrator work and video editing. And I don't love the video editing and stuff like that, but it's kind of a it's part of the deal. So yeah, I'm getting by. Here is my newest little laser. This is a WeCreate 40-watt laser, 45-watt laser. Just getting to know my way around it, but it seems like a great little laser, and I take the exhaust and run it out the window, and that works really well. Now, this is an old Singer patcher as well, and so it's really handy for doing like shoe repair and things like that, where you really got to reach inside. You can turn the foot around. Way back here behind these big boxes is a little sander, and I like to use that for finishing up edges. It's got a little burnisher on there too. So I did mention that I have problems with sunlight coming in and bleaching my leather, and also with the heat problems in this shop. It's always very hot in the summer and cool in the winter because these windows are big and they're not insulated. Also, I noticed my sewing machine is getting a funny suntan. It's kind of nice and dark on this side, but it's actually two different colors because the sun's always bleaching it. And so I needed some blinds of some sort. So Smart Wings is actually a company that reached out to me, asked if I needed some blinds, and I said, by golly, I do. And so I said, yes. These boxes over in the corner are some really cool electronic blinds that go up and down with a remote, and I don't know what's involved with putting them together. I'm going to unbox them, see which tools I need, and I'll attempt to install them in these 3 windows. The other thing I've noticed here is that as I'm filming at night, which I'm often doing because the kids are in bed, there's a big glare off the windows in the back, and so I think having these shades put up are going to be really helpful. So again, thanks to Smart Wings who sent me these. Got a remote control, charging cable, some screws, and a solar panel on this one. I'm going to hang the solar panel out the window so that these shades, being electronic, will never have to use batteries. For the expansion screws, alright, well I got all 3 shades up here. Got my remote programmed, I think. You can go all 3 channels or do all 3 at once. What I really like about these is you'll see the room just kind of brighten up as it's kind of bouncing some of this light back into the room. I like that a lot. I dig it. So thank you to Smart Wings for sending these sweet shades. Thank you for joining me in the shop tour. I hope you come back for a project. I got a whole bunch more coming soon. Some tote bags, all kinds of stuff. So thank you for joining me. We'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you.